Hey everyone, and welcome to the next installment in the Halo implementation series. You know what I'm going to say now. With me today, I have my favorite Halo person, Mr. Halo himself, Morgan Aspinall. And today we're going to continue talking about, setting up Halo. We're specifically going to talk about email templates. So, hey Morgan, how you doing? And thank you very much again for joining me.
Hey again, Chris. Yeah, always a pleasure. It really is. Yeah, Mr. Halo. I like it. It's growing on me.
I'm going to do that on every call. So as the people are listening to the series, they're going to get bored of me saying that.
I won't. Don't worry.
And it's going to become my tagline, right? Where I actually just sort of I have to say this. So I do a podcast with one of my colleagues, and every time she mentions something, I always go, "That's my favorite topic to talk about." And so it's kind of almost become a tagline. And I think we're going to make this a tagline as well for you. That we're going to call you Mr. Halo from now on.
I can work with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Own it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about email templates. You know what they are, when to use them, how to set them up, where to configure them.
Absolutely.
And maybe talk about any kind of caveats. Things we maybe need to look out for. That kind of stuff when setting up these templates. So I'll pass over to you.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, email templates are an incredibly important part of the system. It's going to be the primary way that you interface with your customers, right? So it's important to make sure that those templates are presented in a way that you want them to be presented, and the customer experience is as professional and personalized as you would hope it to be. So, I mean, I'll start off just by mentioning that we do preload a series of templates into the system. They're rather vanilla, but they're certainly sort of functional, and they should provide at least enough information to get you going. But yeah, if you really want to take it to the next step and you want to make the customer experience even more personalized, then you're going to want to go in and amend these. So this is true throughout the system, in that pretty much every email, I think every email that is sent in Halo is sent using a template. And you can find all of those email templates again in configuration, and this time into email. And then within here, we have our email templates section. So these are all of the default email templates that we have. Templates for events such as the new ticket acknowledgement, when one of your agents is sending an email from an existing ticket, when the ticket's closed off, all of that stuff. So they're all in here. And if we just click into the new ticket logged, for example, we can see that we're really built up from just two core aspects. We've just got the email subject and the email body. Now, when you're in here, I've just lost my screen. We all good?
Yeah, let's come back. Yep, got it.
Okay, nice. Yeah, sorry. So within our email templates, we can, of course, sort of configure these as we need. We could pop a table in if we want to sort of format some specific information in a certain way. It's also worth mentioning here that for these sort of HTML savvy individuals, we can click the code view, and we can actually sort of transfer our email template directly into HTML, so we can format that however it is that we want to format it.
Okay. I often find with these, and I think it's the same in any PSA tool, if you are going to use HTML, I'd always recommend using a third-party HTML product, because a lot of these don't format them as well as they should do. So I would say go into some kind of third-party HTML product, generate your HTML code in there, then come back and copy it in here, and it'll kind of format correctly and look nice.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. Cool. Now, within our email templates as well, we can see a couple of sort of strings of text prefixed with a $sign. So these are also a very important concept throughout Halo PSA, namely dollar variables. And dollar variables are a means of inserting ticket or inserting specific information regarding the entity that you're working with. We'll use ticket as an example here. So inserting ticket specific information into our email, of course, without having to change the email every single time. So, for example, $fault ID in Halo PSA refers to the ID of the ticket in question. $date occurred is when the ticket has been logged, and so on. And if you want a full list of those variables from within a template, you actually have this small paragraph just above with a link to go to all of the variables that you can use within your email templates. So that includes options such as, the account number for a site, the account manager title, the assigned agent of a ticket, and so on. So you can get quite creative with the variables that you can put in here and the format of your email templates.
Okay.
Now, sorry, Chris, was there going to be a question there?
No, I was going to say, no, that's great. The dollar variables and setting those up. So and as you say, there is a list of what those dollar variables are based on. Yeah, and there they are there.
Yes, yeah. It's worth mentioning at this point that this page is not the list of every single variable in Halo PSA. There is a lesson in the service desk course of the Halo PSA Academy that lists all of the different places in Halo and their respective URLs where you can find variables for different entities, such as like invoice templates, invoice PDF templates, for example, has a slightly different variable list from those that you would include on emails. So yeah, check out the Halo Academy for a full list of every variable that you can have in the system and the respective URLs.
Okay, and I'll put a link in the description below on how to access the Halo Academy.
Awesome, cool, nice. So I guess we'll just mention a couple of core places where some of those email templates can be applied. Firstly, if we're thinking about our new ticket logged email template, so the sort of ticket acknowledgement email, we can change that within our ticket type specifically via the defaults tab for our ticket type configuration, where in here we can use the default email template, which is just going to be the new ticket log template that we saw, or at this point we can actually override the template that is going to be sent out. Now we don't see any options in here. I believe that's because we haven't actually created any email templates yet. And this is probably the first gotcha that people should likely consider when they're first coming into Halo and first setting these templates up. I've certainly had many questions in the past about where do we actually find our custom email templates. So for example, I could create a new email template by clicking new in the top right.
Okay.
But then in this list, if I go to search for this, I can't actually find it.
Can't find it.
Yeah, and so there's a question that comes up quite often: where do I find my custom email templates? And it's not very obvious. But what you need to do is you need to hit the drop down at the top here from standard messages and switch that over to custom templates. And now we can see that custom email template that we just created a moment ago. So watch out for that one.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, and that's something I see quite a lot as well when I'm consulting on this is, there's that little tiny sort of arrow at the top, and I think people miss that a lot and don't realize that that's actually a drop-down list. So it might be worth, having something where there's either making it more clear or having an option where they can select both, maybe like a tick box or something.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's probably one of those like small but significant quality of life improvements that we'll include in a future release. Yeah, sure. And just to wrap that up, we can now see that in our acknowledgement email template, we can use the default or we can use our custom template that we have created. The next place to consider when thinking about manipulating the emails that are sent from Halo is probably going to be your actions. So we've seen how we can change the email template when a ticket is logged. And you can also, via an action, change the email template that is sent out from a particular action. So you might have a specific action that might an example that comes to mind is the self onboarding form at Halo PSA specifically. We have a manual button to resend a welcome email if the initial email wasn't sent out, and that loads up a custom template that we have created and sends that template to the customer. So yeah, if you want a specific action to send an email with a specific format, all you need to do is change the email template in here for the action in question.
Okay.
Now, those are two rather specific use cases, but what I would say is far more common is actually thinking about changing the entire collection of email templates. An example might be you might have a co-managed IT configured within Halo PSA, and you might want to send emails with a particular footer to certain customers based on the customer that you're interacting with. Again, a prime example of this is going to be our internal Halo is going to send a Halo PSA footer for PSA customers versus a Halo ITSM footer for ITSM customers, or the CRM footer for CRM customers. And that's all based on message groups within Halo. So again, if we go back to configuration email, we see next to our email templates, we have this message groups option. So message groups are our collection of email templates, and that includes our custom templates. So you might want to consider, instead of hitting that drop down from the email templates, instead actually going into the message groups and going to custom templates, at which point you'll get to the same location, but it's just another way of getting there, one that is slightly more obvious than that drop down. So in your message groups, you can quite easily see there's custom templates there. And so what you can do at this point is you can create a new message group. Just call it other message group for now. And what that's going to do is that's going to load up all of the default email templates from the standard messages message group. It's going to load them up in a totally separate list. So now you can come in here and you can manipulate these email templates without affecting any of the email templates in any other message group. So if we go back to standard messages and I go to my new ticket acknowledgement, that hasn't changed, but the ticket acknowledgement in the message group that I've just created is totally different, and I must admit, far less useful. Cool. So
yeah, makes sense.
The next place to, or sort of tying this back to sort of the user experience in a functional sense is, okay, we've got this new message group. Well, how do we actually apply this message group to emails that are sent out of Halo? So there are a couple of places that you can actually set your message group. One such place would be at customer level. So again, this is what we do internally in our live system. Against each customer record, we have the ability to override our organization details, at which point in here, I can change options such as the default from address. So again, if you're sending emails from different domains, you can pick the domain that the email is sent from, provided the mailbox is connected in Halo, and you can have that sent out on a per customer basis. And then just above that, we have our message group. So we can set message groups per customer. Of course, this is our override organization details option, which would indicate that within our organization config, we also have the ability to set our message groups. So you can set your message groups per organization. You can set them per customer, which should override the organization. I believe.
Okay, so if you set them up at organization, then unless you override them, they automatically just, I guess, inherit down to all all the companies, all the customers.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, if you set them at the organizational level, so you go, okay, these are the message groups I'm going to use for, at an organizational level, then all customers automatically get that message group unless you override them.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. And then you can also set it per team as well. And what I don't know is if that overrides the customer level. I'm gonna guess, and I'm gonna say no, but I actually have no idea. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But I suppose the idea would be pick a philosophy and stick to it, right? If you want to have your templates set based on the team, an example could be you want your emails from the sales team to be different globally, then you can change the message group per team. Alternatively, if you want email templates to be set per customer, then you could go into the override organization details section against the customer settings and set it in there. I suppose that the different options cover different use cases. So
and I guess it would be if you had multiple sales teams, right? Maybe you had one team selling telecoms and one selling IT or something, and then you might say, those teams that are selling telecoms, you want specific messaging to go out from those teams. And IT is going to be a completely different kind of email that goes out. So that would be the use case for kind of doing it at a team level. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Pick a philosophy, kind of either do it at a global level, or a team level. But what I think is good here is the ability to be able to override it at a customer level, because you might say, you might only be the first line or third line, whatever, support for that customer, and you want to send it from their own domain name. So they send it to, support at ABC, and you want the email to come back from support at ABC. So it looks like you're part of their organization rather than a third-party outsourced company. So I think having it at the company level in that respect is a really good thing. And then, so there might be some of those instances where you kind of need to do that as well.
For sure. Yeah, this is the place that I see most affected, in that the majority of implementations, when this has been a requirement, this is the best place to set that. It gives you it gives you the most granularity in terms of exactly what types of emails, what do you want those to look like on a per customer basis. So nice. I think that's all there is to it. I mean, I suppose just one quick point I mentioned in the service level agreement session, that I was going to mention the particular emails that are relevant to our SLA hold reminders, and those are, if we search SLA in our description, we've got SLA hold reminder message. So this is the email that is sent out on every other work day, or however you configure it. So this is your reminder email, and then if the customer doesn't reply, you get the ticket closed automatically brackets SLA message saying, we've tried to contact you, you haven't replied, so we're closing it off. See you later.
Exactly. And for those of you who are watching this video that not sure what Morgan's talking about here, if you watch the previous video where we talked about SLAs and talked about the the SLA hold and automatically alerting customers throughout the process, that's what these emails are that Morgan is talking about at this point.
That's it. And I suppose I would just wrap up by saying, what are the most important email templates to consider in the system? It's quite a common question that comes up in an initial implementation. MSPs would say, oh God, there's 65 email templates. Does that mean I have to go in and configure 65 different email templates? Well, the most thorough answer is yes. However, for an initial implementation, you don't need to consider every single email template. Those that I think are the most important are the new ticket logged, so your acknowledgement email, your ticket update. So this is going to be the default email template that's sent out with any action that is configured to email the customer. So that's an important one. Your ticket closed email template, those SLA hold reminder email templates that I just mentioned, given that you provided you actually have that option enabled. And that's probably it. Some of the other ones might be the welcome email. So this is the email that new users will get if you send them the welcome email from Halo. Depending on whether or not you're going to be sending that to users, you might want to consider tweaking this. And
the other ones I would change, and I guess from a ticketing perspective is like we said, if you've got these could be your global ones set at a at the organization level. If you then had that scenario where different customers had different branding of these, then at that point you might want to copy these and create them as custom messages and send those out from there, rather than kind of just using these generic ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as soon as you start thinking I need to change the look and feel of emails for a particular customer, as soon as that comes to mind, create a new message group. You probably want to call that message group either the organization that is sending those emails, or the customer if it is specific to a customer, and then configure the email templates within that message group, and then apply that message group to the customer as we saw.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think and a lot of them, those are really, I think, certainly from a ticketing perspective, definitely the sort of 5 or 6 top ones you can see there on the ticketing side.
Sure,
the rest change as and when you need them, but if you don't need them for now, then don't bother too much about necessarily changing them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, further on down the line, you're going to want to start thinking about the quotation message email templates. Is the email template sent out whenever you're sending a quote / proposal from Halo? Your invoice email template, I think it's that one.
Yeah,
but
of course, this is making the assumption that you're using Halo to generate the quote, and also using Halo to generate the invoice. If you were
exactly.
if you were sending your invoice into QuickBooks and sending it from there, then you don't need to worry too much about the invoice one. Same thing with quoting. A lot of MSPs will use a third-party quoting tool, although the quoting tool in Halo is pretty good. So for Halo users, it's probably less likely to be using a third-party quoting tool. But so if you're in that position as an MSP where you're using third-party stuff to do it, then don't worry too much about those particular emails. Just really focus on the stuff that is to do with the service desk.
Absolutely. Yeah. Completely correct. Like you say, the majority of people will not go all in with the sending of quotes, the sending of invoices, from day one of go live. But what they certainly will be doing from day one of go live is sending emails from tickets, sending emails for ticket acknowledgements, closing tickets off. So those are an absolute must-have. If you're not happy, or if you want to change the email templates, those top 3 are really the most important ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. That's been really, really useful, around kind of setting up email templates. So once again, Morgan, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video.
Always a pleasure. Yeah. See you soon.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye-bye.